All right, let's talk a little bit of politics. So Charlotte City Council's budget season has officially begun. As they invest big in public safety and transit, there's a big question. We talked about it during the break. Will Charlotte increase property taxes? That is
the dramatic.
The dramatic sigh or gasp. Thank you. Is Julie Kay here covering all things politics? Julie, another great episode of Flashpoint. Make sure you tune in. Flashpoint, correct me if I'm wrong, Mondays 9 p.m.
Yes, avid Flashpoint watcher over here.
Yeah,
next door to
look,
me.
hey, I'm one of the biggest fans. They do great work. Her and Ben Thompson. Let's talk about it. Property taxes. So we talk about public safety, we talk about transit, but property tax. I feel like it's kind of like a sleeper as far as issues and concerns.
Everyone, I think, pretty much if they had to raise their hand and vote would say, no, we don't want our taxes to increase. But when you think about it, our sales tax, we just voted to increase it in Mecklenburg County, we being, voters overall, not me specifically. I'm just saying that it was very narrow that it passed. It was very close, but it still passed. That was for transit projects. And so all these things we want to do, we talked about in the break, lofty goals that the city has. How are you going to pay for it? So Ben and I spoke with Dimple Ashmira. She's a councilwoman and chair of the budget committee. She is the one helping lead these discussions as we begin the very lengthy budget process. She is against a property tax increase. And so I think a lot of people will be relieved to hear that, especially as we have the sales tax increase going into effect in July. Again, that would pass in November, but it hasn't actually happened yet. You haven't felt the impacts of it yet. But there are still a lot of really big things that they want to get done, and that's kind of the balancing act of it. Big thing, of course, is public safety. We have talked about this a million times. A lot of high-profile crimes in the last year or so since we had a last budget process. Of course, the murder of Irina Zrutska brought attention to public safety on public transit.
Last summer,
and it talked about we started talking more about CMPD and just police funding and resources in general. She brought up the point that CMPD right now is short about 300 officers, which we knew. But even retaining that talent has been an issue as well. So she's advocating for what CMPD has been asking for, a 10% salary increase and take-home vehicles to kind of incentivize more talent to not only come but stay in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County area. And so that's going to be a big discussion. I know that Chief Estella Patterson has asked that already of the state government, who does not have a budget yet and so has not been able to fulfill that request. And then some council members were just in D.C., and that was one of their asks as well from the federal government. If you get a chance to advocate for funding for Charlotte, this is what we want to see. That was one of their asks. So neither of those pushes have been successful yet, and so it kind of comes down to city budget. But balancing that with other goals like affordable housing and transportation, things like that. I mean, there's a lot to balance here.
Oh man, did Dimple Ashmira say why no increase in property? Oh, I guess why she's on that side of the fence.
Yeah, and things could still change. We haven't heard yet from the city manager on what that draft budget looks like, or other council members. But she's advocating for no increase because we have that sales tax already increasing in July, which again people haven't felt yet, and they're already, she says, struggling as it is. So another increase on top of that would, she's saying, just it's not the time to do that. Even with all these things we want to do, it's not the time to put families in a worse financial position. She even mentioned like gas prices. There are other issues that are unrelated to city, state, county governments that are causing a lot of financial strain on Charlotte families right now. And so she just said that this is really not the time in her opinion.
Yeah, it's such a weird time in the area, especially Mecklenburg County, where we have so many people moving in a day. I know that we always have that tagline of 50, but I think that's gone up from
150 something.
Yeah. So we have more and more people moving into the area, but we already have an existing population that the cost of living is going up. Property taxes may go up. It's just so many things. So it's just I just want to point that out. It's a weird time for a lot of folks here. Yeah,
and a lot of things that are out of the control of city government too. Like I said, state still doesn't have a budget, and so some of these things that could be helped out by, like I said, state or federal governments, they are dealing with their other fish to fry at the moment, and so Charlotte kind of has to rely on their own budget for some of those things at this point.
Julie Kay, I was going to say your middle name, but I'm not going to do it. Julie K.
It's not out like that. Thank you.
Covering all things politics. I'm not going to do Julie like that. When can folks catch you this evening?
We're going to have a preview with some of that interview with Miss Ajmira at 4 p.m. today. And then the full interview will be at 9 p.m. on Monday on our next episode of Flashpoint.
Yeah, make sure you catch that on WCNC Plus, Flashpoint, 9 p.m. here on WCNC Plus. Thank you, Julie, for your time covering all things politics.